So try to give you more of an applied in the trenches perspective. What we covered this morning, though, was fantastic. So many truths that we experience in the field were covered this morning. It was fantastic. So that 20 years in the collegiate ranks was formative stuff. That was great. We've got a wonderful commitment at the collegiate level to fueling our athletes and feeding within the scope of the rules that exist in the NC2A. And I had the good fortune of working with Tom Osborne, who is now the athletic director at Nebraska. But Tom went off and did a stint as a congressman and was actually one of the co-authors of the Anabolic Steroid Control Act. And we've honored Tom at our conferences as really one of the real advocates for sports RDs out there in the trenches working with athletes. So fantastic guy. Last 10 years, these exposures with the pro setting, just about everything that moves out there, they teach you as much as you teach them. They're fantastic exposures, and they're very different cultures from one setting to the next with regard to their taboos and their beliefs, and yet at the same time, they all bring something unique and wonderful to the table. If you Google this, you'll get a pretty recent comparison between the college, the Olympic, and the professional and the military settings for what it's like policy-wise to work in those different environments as far as supplementation and fueling, as far as feeding. Because the rules do vary quite a bit, more than we've got time to cover today. I've been tasked really with kind of staying on point on the professional side. Take a look at the pro setting. We don't really have any rules that limit feeding. We can feed, they've got money, we can feed. And we can feed whenever we need to feed. And so what we're trying to do is match up the fueling patterns here, the meal patterns, with the duty cycle of their training and their competition, and to create value behind the food supply so that these athletes will be less prone to run off and look for other solutions. And truly, I heard one of the questions earlier today, and we've heard it in anti-doping meetings from some of the top anti-doping people behind professional sports. They really feel that one of the #1 deterrents, in addition to a very visible drug testing program, that's a very buttoned up program with regards to what they're testing for. One of the next biggest preventative measures that we can take is to feed athletes and to have a professional manage that food supply like a registered dietitian. Okay? And in our sports venues, we call that a sports RD because they've got some experience in sport. And then we had a question earlier about whether having something around makes a difference. The question was focused on NSF certified products, but I'll just tell you, when we have a solution for the athlete that we fund and supply at the team level, that keeps athletes, even who have a pocket full of money, focused on drinking from our well. That is a very valuable thing. We know that when policies change to where we cannot fund and supply solutions at a team level, that when the athletes go out on their own recognizance to find a solution, they may have, in the best of intentions, walked into a health food store to buy one thing, but along the way, they got talked into 3 or 4 or 5 things. And that's what we end up digging through the top of their lockers all the time to sort out, is how that got there. Sometimes they might have ordered one thing and 5 things showed up in the box because they're trying to impress them.